Hi, Siri. I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning, a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning, coming to you live from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the great state of Florida and right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Also, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company, offering $1,000 off new installation units, 10% off any additional services through September. Go visit them at comforttemp.com. Today's program, we'll have Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel. You can also listen to his program in the afternoons on The Game FM 96. And then we'll have JC in the second portion of today's program. Let's go straight to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by Mike Bianchi. Mikey, what's going on, my man?
Shaner, always good to be on your award-winning podcast.
Yes, award-winning. You know what's interesting is a buddy of mine texted me a few minutes ago. He's like, I'm listening to your show yesterday, and I'm on a plane from Dublin to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's
Awesome.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, Mikey, give me your thoughts of the Mighty Gators.
Well, it's, obviously it's coming unraveled. We saw what happened last year. Billy Napier was able to come back and save his job. I just don't know if it can happen this year. It just seems like things are mounting and mounting and mounting. You lose the USF. That was awful. The way they lost it, the spitting penalty. And then you have the assistant coach, the running backs coach, and associate head coach, Jabbar Jalouki, suspended for 3 games for I don't know what he was doing during those altercations at LSU. Maybe you know more than I do, but the SEC hammered him with a 3-game suspension. It just seems to go, and Shane, you know Billy Napier a lot better than I do. It just seems to go against everything Billy Napier stands for. Obviously, he's not winning games. He's 20-21, but we always considered him, hey, the disciplinarian, culture, all of building culture. And maybe he is that. I'm sure he is that because he seems to be genuine in that. But when you have players being ejected for spitting on other players and you have coaches being suspended for whatever he was doing during the altercation, it just seems to go against whatever he's going to get, whatever he stands for. And I think, obviously that's mounting off field, on field. Everything seems to be, it's a perfect storm for a firing, if you ask me.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking about the Jabbar Jalouk suspension. I knew nothing about it till I saw it on Twitter last night, like everyone else. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of trash talking pregame warm up while the guys were in shorts, and I've never understood that. I think it's just absolutely stupidity.
Right.
There have been some reports saying that he slapped one of their players. Now, if I've heard people talk about we need players to have fire like the coach. And look, that's irresponsible if that's the case. That is just stupidity. I don't know what happened, but obviously he is being suspended for 3 games. So we'll see what else comes out of that. They head to Miami, Mike. Miami's undefeated. I think Miami's a very talented team, maybe the best I've seen Miami in the last few years. What do the Gators, in your opinion, have to do to have a chance against the Miami Hurricanes?
Well, Miami doesn't just look like the best team in the state. They look like they could be the best team in the country right now. They're playing really well. Obviously, they hammered USF a week after they beat the Gators. And what do the Gators have to do to beat Miami? They have to score some points. I don't know if I don't know who mentioned it, but it's a prevalent stat out there. The Gators have had more touchdowns called back in the last 2 games than they've actually scored. So the Gators have to, obviously play a cleaner brand of football. With some of these stupid penalties, getting 87-yard touchdowns called back. and they have to score some points. I mean, their defense, Shane, you're at the games. Their defense is playing championship level defense. They made Nussmeier look pretty pedestrian the other day. And, you know, when Nussmeier threw that one bad pick against the Gators, you saw what happened. Brian Kelly got in his face like Spurrier used to get in your face when you threw interceptions. And, you know, a lot of people want to see Billy Napier be a little more fiery with DJ Lagway, but that's just not Billy Napier's nature, I guess. But obviously the Gators have to score points, and DJ Lagway has to look like a decent quarterback because, quite frankly, he has, you know, even in Long Island, even against in the Long Island game, I didn't think he looked great. He certainly didn't look good in the USF game, and he looked awful against LSU. So DJ Lagway has to be a SEC level quarterback if the Gators expect to stay on the field with Miami down at Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah, for sure. Text here on the Titan Mar text line from James. He says, Mike, when do you think Billy will get fired this year?
I don't. Wow. I don't know. I'm a, you know, obviously Scott Strickland is tied to Billy Napier. Scott Strickland likes Billy Napier. I think we all like Billy Napier. But when you're 20-21 and you're getting beat by USF at home, and if they get embarrassed by Miami on Saturday, hell, it could come then. But here's the thing you have to realize. What I've always said, what good does it do to fire a coach early in the season? Now, we saw UCLA and Virginia Tech do it last week, so maybe their ADs know more than I know, but that's a big operation over there. When you have a guy like Billy Napier, I mean, he's hired, you know, what is it, 100 people on the staff over there. He's their boss, so it's not just Billy Napier you're firing. That whole operation over there is going to have to be overhauled. So I don't know. I would wait till later in the season to do it. I don't think they're going to, you know, go out and hire Lane Kiffin if they fire Billy Napier on Saturday. So it doesn't really help you hire a coach, in my opinion. If Billy Napier knows or what you could do, Shane, is you could do like they did with the Zucker. You could fire him and let him coach the remainder of the season. I don't know. You could do that. But anyway, I don't know when he's going to be fired, but I just think he is going to be fired. I think it's probably inevitable now with their schedule, unless there's some sort of miracle like last year and he goes on the road and beats Miami and then he beats Texas and, you know, and then he starts rolling. If that happens, obviously he's not going to be fired, but I would give him a chance to redeem himself over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't know when it's ever a good time to fire a coach, right?
Right.
Because especially in today's world, and you may know more about this than I do, but kids can go into the portal right when if they got, as soon as the coach is fired, they can go in the portal. I don't know why you would want to do that, because you're giving up your NIL money, right?
Right.
You might as well finish the season out, then go into the portal. Get your money, because that's what they're all about anyway, is getting their money while they can. Real quick, there was a Facebook.
I wonder about that NIL too. And again, I'm not accusing DJ Lagway of having NIL-itis or anything like that, but you do. I mean, it's a different world from when you played, obviously, Shane. These players are millionaires sometimes before they even step on the field. And does that affect their preparation? Does that affect their desire to work as hard as they can to be as great as they can be? It used to be, you know, when you were playing, you had to go out there and prove yourself to, make the NFL where you could make some money playing football. Now they've already made the money playing football. I mean, hell, DJ Lagway's probably made more this year than I've made in my career as a sports writer. So,
he's probably made in the last 2 years more than I've probably made maybe in my entire NFL career.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I agree. I think it's crazy now, the amount of money thrown at these guys. You can look back at Tennessee with the Nico kid. There was reports that they gave him like $8 million coming out of high school.
By the way, who's not rooting against Nico? I love the fact. I love the
can't
fact that
believe
Josh Heupel kicked him off the team, essentially. He said, we're not going to renegotiate. Then he goes to UCLA, and they're 0-3. They just fired their coach. Shane, that was a bad career move on his part, was it not?
it was, but I got to look at Josh Heupel being a former quarterback and go, what did you even see in this kid to even offer him a scholarship? I mean, he's
Same,
bad. He was
same thing.
never good at Tennessee.
Right.
It just it's crazy. Sometimes it's how you look at these NFL GMs that draft these kids in the first round. What have you been watching? The tape don't lie. The tape don't lie. Andy says on Facebook Live, Lagway and Manning doing commercials seems to coincide with their poor performances. Yeah, they were two of the highest at odds to win the Heisman. They both struggle. We'll see if they both get to turn their seasons around, and we'll see Arch here in a couple of weeks. So anyway, somebody on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing wanted to know about his mechanics. Can they be fixed this year? No, they cannot. That's muscle memory. That's just stuff that you do in the off season. You do as a youngster that you don't even think about mechanics. He had bad mechanics last year, got away with them. This year is hurting him.
Okay, but here's my question, Shane. I mean, you've coached quarterbacks. You played quarterback. If you said he had bad mechanics last year, then why? I mean, Billy Napier's got an army full of staff over there. Fix it.
Well, they do go through fundamentals. Maybe not the fundamentals that I was brought up with or taught, but they do a lot of the fundamental mechanical stuff. But again, you got to remember, Mike, he went all of spring, all of fall until about a week before the damn game, and expected him to play at a high level. And I said on this show all summer long, you have to have reps as a quarterback. It's not like a wide receiver or a defensive back where you're kind of on an island out there by yourself. You just worry about your job. Quarterbacks worry about everybody on the offense and what everybody on the defense is doing. And you got to have people coming at you, live action, finding passing lanes, reading coverage, ball getting out on time. And you could tell he's struggling with that right now because he doesn't have the reps. But it is what it is, and we'll see what happens. Dan wants to know, is DJ injured? He's probably hurt. Everybody's hurt. You know, they've heard me tell you, week one, when you run out of that tunnel, even though you haven't played a real game, there's nobody 100% healthy because you just went through training camp. The body takes its toll.
Shane, do you think, I mean, again, you've coached and played quarterback. You weren't a running quarterback, but
I had a few good running games.
You did?
I had 77 yards against the Tennessee Vols one year rushing.
What, did you have a long run in that game or something?
No, we went empty a bunch, and then they just dropped people, and I took off, showed my speed and my athleticism, Mikey.
You did have some loping speed, as I recall.
Yes.
I'm curious. I mean, we always hear DJ Lagway dual threat quarterback. It doesn't seem like he's a dual threat quarterback at all. Do you think they're just not calling the RPOs for him because of his health, or what?
Well, they actually called a couple of zone reads the other night, and then he took off scrambling some. I think he's too big. I think he needs to lose 25, 30 pounds.
I agree.
His feet are terrible. Slow.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks lumbering to me.
Yeah. Clayton on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, says, Shane, if Lagway has another poor performance, would you give Trammell a chance? I would have given Trammell some time in South Florida and last week, but Billy Napier's already come out and said, no, I believe in one of his pressers.
But what if he struggles this week? What if he comes out against Miami and throws a couple picks and the Gators get down 14-0 or something? I mean, Billy, I realize Billy Napier is tied to DJ Lagway, but I mean, don't you have to do something?
Well, it's not fair to the rest of the players on the team, right?
Right.
I said this yesterday. We changed our right tackle for the game against LSU because, I can't even think of his name, but Bryce Lovett wasn't playing well the first couple of games, so they made a change to try to give us a chance to see if somebody plays better. So I think you have to do that if he's struggling, just for the psyche of your team, right?
Yeah, I mean, the defense is playing championship level football. I mean, let's face it, the reason the Gators lost to LSU was because DJ Lagway made bad decisions and threw 5 interceptions. Without those, the Gators probably win that game. So you're right. I'm sure the defensive players are saying, "What the hell is going on here? We need to score some points to help us out here." We all know how. I mean, locker, you can have all the great culture in a locker room you want, but when you start losing games and one side of the ball isn't performing like it should, then there's going to be some fingers being pointed.
Text here on the Titan our text line from William in Nashville, Tennessee. He says, Mike, who are your top three candidates if something were to happen to Billy Napier? I was going to ask you the same question.
You know what I hate? I hate when fans start talking about coaches. And you know, I'm not saying Florida's not a great job because it is, but I think fans have an inflated opinion of how good their job is. Like I've heard, go hire Dan Lanning, or
No.
and I'm thinking, why would he leave Oregon where they have more money than God to pay players? Why would he leave there? Probably, an easier path to get into the playoff. So when I hear names like Dan Lanning, I say, forget, stop it. You're not getting Dan Lanning. Obviously, Lane Kiffin is the obvious guy. He would be at the top of my list. Lane Kiffin, I mean, good Lord, the guy knows how to coach offense. The Gators offense is struggling. He's got charisma. He knows the state of Florida. I mean, he grew up here in the state of Florida with his dad, Monty Kiffin, being the D coordinator of the Bucks. So Lane Kiffin would be at the top of my list. Other than that, I mean, people mention Jed Fish at Washington because he worked at Florida. He went to Florida. Is Jed Fish going to get the Gator fans excited? I don't know. I don't know. Eli Drinkwitz, is he going to get Gator fans excited?
He's done a good job in Missouri. He's,
right.
You go back to Lane, and you've been covering the Gators for a long time, but I've always said that the closest person that has that arrogance,
right,
offensive mind to the head ball coach is Lane.
Right.
Yeah. Eli kind of has a little bit of that as well. But
plus Lane has I mean, Lane has ties to the University of Florida. His former wife is John Reeves' daughter.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Lane Kiffin knows what Gator football is all about.
And here's what I tell people, because people argue with me. They're like, there's no way Lane's leaving Ole Miss. I was like, look, I'm an Ole Miss guy.
Right. You grew up there.
Yeah, I grew up a Rebel. I love the Ole Miss. I love University of Mississippi. I love Florida. The brands, there's no comparison when it comes to recruiting, winning. You can only do so much at some places, right? And I'm just saying, I think it would be a no-brainer personally.
I was just thinking about the Miami game again.
What are you thinking about?
I was thinking about Mario Cristobal, and Billy Napier, both hired the same year, and it looks like Miami made the right hire in Mario Cristobal, even though, he still gets criticism for blowing games. Maybe he shouldn't lose, but, to me, that's sort of the referendum on Billy Napier. Hired the same year as Mario Cristobal, and Cristobal has that program turned around. Now, I don't know if Cristobal played Napier's schedule. I don't know if he'd be winning as many games, and that's the other thing. Napier he's been saddled with this schedule that's just unbelievable, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, look, they say sometimes, was it Zook they always talked about, it had bad luck about certain things?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Billy's had really bad luck because, I tell people, and I talked about it on your show, when it comes to play calling, people like plays that work. When they don't work, you're a dumbass, right?
Yeah.
Every time he's tried to mix it up, the tempo or a trick play, or take a shot at a certain time in the game, it ain't ever worked. And I just think he's snake bit. I really believe that because people don't like the play calls. I actually love them because he was being aggressive and doing something out of the ordinary. But it's never worked. So we'll see. Maybe the ball will bounce our way at Hard Rock this week. Somebody had another question for you here. I'll try to find it in just a second. This is from Says, good morning, Shane. This is on the Titan War text line. Listening to you and Buddy talk yesterday. Do you think the standard at Florida has changed, not for the fans, but for the higher ups there? You want to answer that, Mike?
Has the stand
I
has
don't know
this
what they mean by the standard. People, I always go back to, and you know better than I because I became a Gator in '88. But again, I tell everybody the successful football teams were coached by two Hall of Famers,
right,
Spurrier and Urban Meyer.
right.
And it's just hard to find those type of coaches. They kind of fall in your lap and you're lucky and go win some games. Now we got to find another Hall of Fame.
I think the state. I think most fan bases and most administrators, even especially in the SEC, I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to recognize that the standard is going to have to change. Obviously, Alabama's standards are going to have to change from what they were under Nick Saban, but the SEC now with all the teams and all these teams from Texas to Texas A&M to obviously Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, all these teams they have all of this money to pay players. Players aren't staying in one place like they used to, and they're transferring willy-nilly to and fro. So there's going to be some pretty we've certainly seen it at Florida State. There's going to be some huge swings from year to year on how good teams are. So I think fan bases and administrators are going to have to get used to that.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day about, back in the day when you played the Vanderbilts and the Ole Misses and the Mississippi States and the Kentuckys, it was like you could play poorly and you're going to win the game. In today's SEC, it's not like that. Those teams are pretty damn good as we have seen.
By the way, I just thought of something. Here's the guy at the top of my list. All right. Here's the guy at the top of my list to replace Billy Napier. Should Billy Napier be fired? Go get Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney just absolutely just railed against his critics yesterday, saying, "Hey, we're 1-2. Hey, if you guys want to lose, then fire me and I'll go someplace else." That's essentially what he said yesterday. I'd love to have Dabo Swinney coaching.
I like Dabo a lot.
I love that guy. He's got charisma. He tells it like it is. He's got a connection to the head ball coach. They love each other, even though they competed against each other. I would love to see that. He's 55 years old. It's not like he said yesterday. If I get fired, guess what? I'm 55. I ain't going to the beach. I still got a lot of coaching left in me. I'm putting Dabo Swinney over Lane Kiffin.
All right. Here's the text on the Titan MR text line from Jim. He wants to know what your thoughts about hiring Marcus Freeman.
Well, he had Notre Dame in the national title game last year. There's another guy who's, is he gonna, I guess is he getting the heat at Notre Dame? I don't know. He's 0-2. I don't know that you're getting, I don't think he's getting any heat at Notre Dame. Does he really want to leave Notre Dame? If you could get him more, to me, he fits into, that's a guy you're probably not going to get because he's already at a great program. And Notre Dame, obviously he's young, he's charismatic, he's, he would be Florida's first black head coach. So that would be, I think, alluring to some. So, yeah, if you think you can get Marcus Freeman, go for it. I just don't think you can get him.
Joey on Facebook Live brought to you by Melton Law said, would Urban Meyer be on Scott's list?
Oh, God. Stop it. No. We had a Jags reporter on our show yesterday, and I was before she came on, I was thinking about saying, the Jags lost to Cincinnati over the weekend. So I go, hey, at least Liam Cohen got on the team plane to come home from Ohio, unlike the last time they were in Cincinnati when Urban didn't get on the team plane and went bar hopping and booty grabbing up in Ohio. So no on Urban Meyer.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. A few more minutes here with Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel. You got any good stuff you're writing?
I mean, I just wrote about, obviously after the loss last week, I wrote about, hey, DJ Lagway was supposed to be the guy that saved Billy Napier's job. Now he may be the guy who cost Billy Napier his job because of the way he's playing this year. So I wrote that. Um, I'm writing today. The hoodie's coming to Orlando. We've talked about the Florida Miami game. What about the hoodie? Bill Belichick coming to face Scott Frost in Orlando this week.
They play this Saturday, right?
Yeah, UCF, North Carolina. Obviously North Carolina not very good. UCF, they're okay. They're 2-0 right now, but they haven't played anybody. They struggled against Jacksonville State and then beat North Carolina A&T. I do think I do think Scott Frost, trying to not only resurrect UCF's program, but resurrect his own image and his own coaching reputation. I think that's I'm interested to follow that because let's face it, he was the golden boy last time he was at UCF. In fact, I think the Gators wanted to hire him. Who'd they end up hiring? They ended up hiring Dan Mullen. I think they wanted to hire Scott Frost.
They did. Yeah, I believe so. He turned them down, I guess. I can't
remember. He turned him down and he took the Nebraska job, which turned out to be a mistake, obviously. So yeah, Scott Frost, I think, is an interesting story as he tries to rebuild his coaching reputation.
Before I get you out of here, just your thoughts on Gus Malzahn, what he's done there at FSU. Were you surprised that he left UCF?
I was surprised. I was surprised he left UCF and left his $12 million buyout on the table. But I think Gus, I mean, as most coaches do, Gus has a big ego. And I don't think Gus wanted to be fired again. He got fired at Auburn. Even though he got the $21 million buyout, fire me. You can fire me any day if you give me $21 million. But I don't think he wanted to be fired again. And I do think Gus wanted to sort of go. I still think Gus wants to be a head coach. I just think he saw the handwriting on the wall at UCF, sort of like I think Urban started to see the handwriting on the wall at Florida and bailed. I think Gus wanted to go resurrect his career as a play caller and maybe have one last shot at a head coaching job, which he might get at Arkansas if he continues down the path of turning around Florida State's offense. I've always thought, and Shane, you know this better than I've always thought Gus Malzahn was a great play caller. And he's certainly showing it at Florida State. They had the worst offense in Power 4 football last year, and now they're top 10, I think.
I think he's a really good play caller if he has a guy who can run the ball.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, his past stuff doesn't really excite me. John on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, do we look back at Napier's tenure and say if he only hired an OC? Yes and no. But again, I think people just think if Billy had hired an OC, everything would be fine. There would still be people on this show, on your show, everywhere in America complaining about play calling. Because I said 2 years ago, the one OC that everybody wanted in America was the TCU OC, Garrett Riley, who Clemson hired. Clemson has been awful on offense.
Right.
Okay. My point of it is there's only so many great play callers in America. And if they're great play callers, they ain't going to be an OC somewhere. They're going to be a head coach somewhere. So I hear what people are saying. I get their complaints. But trust me, if we'd had podcasts back in the day when the HBC was calling plays, people would be raising hell about some of his play calls.
I think you should be the offensive coordinator at Florida.
Because then you can write great articles about my damn bad play calling. And then I try to fight Mike Bianchi at a presser.
Like Brian Kelly.
Yeah. All right, Mike, I appreciate your time. Let everybody know how they can listen to your show because this is like blasted all around the state of Florida, right?
Absolutely. Listen to us on FM 96.9 The Game. Game On is the name of the show with Bianchi and Kravitz, my co-host Brandon Kravitz. We're on 3 to 6 p.m. every weekday afternoon. You can also find us on the iHeartMedia app, podcast. We podcast our show, all of that. So, yeah, FM 96.9 The Game, 3 to 6, Bianchi and Kravitz.
Appreciate your time, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, my brother.
That's Mike Bianchi. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by JC. We'll get some of his Peachland Dental picks for the week. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Landeros Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers. Setbacks. Injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Coach, you know what always impressed me? How you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave Los Landeros Tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros Tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros Tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. Let's go to the Tag Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. How would it go with Mike Bianchi?
It was great. JC,
Yeah.
have you ever been to Gallo Car Wash?
I've driven by it plenty of times. On
So JC, I did one of those where you pay a fee and you can go as many times as you want.
That's what you do.
So
Yep.
anytime I ride by that thing,
Go on in.
my ride looks sweet. So
Yeah.
maybe you need to do that, JC.
Yeah. Well, QB, I do, especially when it rains every day, but we're getting great weather. So now I'm not too worried about it. But when you go to the beach every weekend, you have to do it. So obviously, I guess you guys are, here. So now that we're at the peak of the Gator Misery Index. The Misery Index is an index that we talk about in the financial markets. So now we're at the peak of the Gator Misery Index because we're talking about coaches instead of the game with Miami that's coming up.
Mhm.
And typically the game with Miami would be a real treat for Florida fans because we don't get to play Miami that often. And Miami certainly looks forward to playing Florida because they, of course, blame Florida for that series breaking down. But if they were honest with themselves and with everybody else, they would know that Florida had multiple reasons for doing what they did. Having said that, this coaching conversation just goes on and on and on until a resolution to it. So who does Mike want to hire? I think I heard him say Dabo Sweeney.
Well, Lane was his first choice, then Dabo.
Well, we talk about Lane quite a bit. So let me throw in another name that nobody's going to like, that you hate, but that I saw last night at the quarterback club, and that's John James Fisher. And the reason
Zero
why,
chance. I have a
well,
better
zero
chance of
chance.
being
I know
a
you
head
say
coach.
Jimbo Fisher is out, but here, let me just give you an economic case for it, because I know you think money is just disposable. Nobody cares about that, but truly, as you run a business, that is a big factor in every decision you make. And this is a business we're talking about.
Yeah, but we've dealt with that, the bad choices, the money, and
Yeah.
all. It's at the point now, JC, where it's do or die.
I don't disagree with that, but here's the thing about Fisher that I want folks to know. He is getting paid $7.5 million for the next 5 years from Texas A&M University because of the ineptitude and stupidity of Ross Bjork, who is the Ohio State athletic director. He has 5 years of that salary coming whether he works or not. So Florida hires him. He gets the $7.5 million from Texas A&M. Florida gives him about 4 or 5, which is very affordable, pays no buyout. Next thing you know, he's getting $11-12 million for the next 5 years to coach the Gators. That makes economic sense.
Yeah, but I think the people that are going to have the money, they don't care about Jim.
So $100 million is my estimate of the cost to get rid of Billy, bring in a splash hire, and ship everybody out of town and bring everybody into town, and get rid of that bloated staff over there he's got doing nothing.
That's okay. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Okay, QB. Well, next time you want to go buy a new house, you make sure that it doesn't matter what it costs. Okay.
Look,
Okay.
I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying it ain't my money. I'm just saying that it's at a point now where
It's everybody's
you cannot
money.
take a risk. It has to be a proven commodity, and
He's
it's
got a
be,
national championship, a bunch of conference championships, and a winning record. What do you need?
I need somebody that's going to excite here's another thing you need to think about, JC. In today's world of college athletics,
Okay.
not just the main donors to the school,
Mhm.
but the average donors or the average fans of that school.
Yeah.
What's gonna excite them to open up or send a check for $25?
Winning football games.
Thank you very much. And
Okay. He's done that.
with a proven guy.
He's done that. I just told you, a natty, multiple conference championships, and a winning record. What do you need?
Yeah.
You need somebody to come in with flair that costs us $100 million because of a buyout so that we can only just fail again. I don't need that. We've gone through that enough. Billy Napier was supposed
So
to
you
be
don't
the
think it'd
next
be $100
hot
million if you hire Jimbo Fisher?
No, absolutely not. I just told you the economic case for Jimbo. He's getting.
It doesn't matter what he's getting from Texas A&M. He's still going to ask for $15 million.
No, well, then he won't get the job.
Yeah, but we don't want him.
But he's not working as it is.
It doesn't matter.
Look, I'm just
go
making
back to his ranch.
I'm making an economic case for the guy. He does have a proven track record, but dragging Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame after one good year, that has a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. Billy Napier had 7 good years at some school. So, I mean, you can talk about Marcus Freeman because he was a hot item. How about this guy's name, Sonny Dykes? Sonny Dykes in his first year brought TCU to a national championship game. He's got a great quarterback, knows offense, and he's got a good school at Texas Christian University. They have 8,000 people on campus. They have nothing relative to Florida in terms of resources, and there's Sonny Dykes beating people's asses. What about Sonny Dykes? He wouldn't cost you $100 million probably. So how about that name? You like that name?
Mm-mm.
You don't tell me why you don't like that name.
I think Sonny's done a great job, but that doesn't mean he's going to do a good job here. I don't see it happening.
Well, Marcus Freeman it doesn't mean he's going to do a good job here.
Marcus Freeman's not my number 1 choice.
He's your number 2 choice or 3?
Well, he's a choice that I've heard. So.
Well, Lane is. We all know. I'm trying to make a conversation that is not as redundant as the one we've had.
No, I get that, but again, I think I really think this scenario, if something were to happen, it goes back to 1990.
Okay.
When they hired Stephen Orr Spurrier, and it wasn't some committee, it was boosters that said, this is the guy we're hiring.
Well, then the boosters are going to have to make this call too.
I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm saying when you have something that is a no-brainer, go freaking do it.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that would be required for that to happen is for Lane to actually say, okay.
Right. But from all indications,
I have no indications.
Well, I mean, the folks that I talk to think so, but who knows? Who knows? There's no reason to talk about it because nothing's happened right now.
Well, we've got an open date after this game. That's typically when.
But it
things
doesn't.
happen.
But that's still not going to matter about a coaching hire. That does not matter. It doesn't matter if you go hire Bill Belichick or you go hire Steve Spurrier. He ain't coaching until next year.
I know you're right, but when they get rid of this coach, or they give him the choice of maybe staying on till the end of the season, like Zook, the only conversation we're going to end up having who this next coach is going to be, and we're going to forget about all these games to play still, QB. I mean, I'm not on Saturday afternoon, but that's what the conversations is going to be all damn week long. It's going to drive me crazy. It's going to drive you crazy.
I don't let anything bother me, JC.
You know, okay.
Alan in Atlanta on the Titanamar text line says, Jimbo, no. Heck no. I love you, JC, but no.
No, and listen, I'm not saying he's a great choice. I'm making an economic case for it because I don't believe it's going to cost Florida nearly as much because of buyout scenarios and because of the fact that he's already getting, for the next 5 years, upwards of $40 million. And they could say, listen, do you want to coach a premier program like Florida, or do you want to sit on your ass and do QB club meetings? And I don't think the answer is the latter. I think he wants to coach again. I mean, that's what coaches do, QB. You know that.
I know, but he would be way down my list.
Okay.
Swamp Fuel on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, QB, you once talked about Jeff Brom. I love Jeff Brom. I think people forget Jeff Brom played quarterback at Louisville. He grew up a Louisville guy. He is their head coach. He's not going anywhere. And they do have money. Would Jeff Brom leave to come to Florida or an SEC school? Why? Why? I mean, people got to remember, especially if you're coaching at your alma mater and you're in a Power 4 conference, all you have to do is either win your conference or usually come in second, and you're going to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
Matt says the Missouri coach, I think, would be a home run hire.
Eli?
I like Eli Drinkwitz. I do like him.
Eli would not break the bank, I don't think.
He would probably be my number 2 choice.
Okay, well, you know, he's becoming a more popular name. Let's remember this, though. Missouri has had a very easy time of it schedule-wise relative to Florida, but I think he is the kind of coach you would like. He's got the personality and the offensive nature to him. He calls plays. He does things that with good quarterback. I mean, he's had good quarterbacks at Missouri. It seems like year in and year out. Don't you think, QB?
Yeah.
What is making you laugh?
Andrew says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, JC, you are too smart. Why spend the money on a coach when Jimbo is in the clearance aisle?
Everybody likes a discount, QB. I mean, it could be a hidden value there. Be a value shopper. I think Florida has paid out enough failure checks in the last 15 years with these awful hires. And listen, Strickland's damn lucky there's a guy named Todd Golden on the payroll right now. That's all I'm going to say.
Rick and Jupiter on the Titanamar text line says, I keep seeing on message boards that Foley is the one making the next hiring decision. Do you think he's still running the show? I have no idea.
Well, that's just message board stuff there. I don't think that's the remember, you know, before Billy, he interviewed Chip Kelly. He interviewed a lot of guys. I wasn't wild about any of his names, but then again, I wasn't excited about Todd Golden either until he started winning games. So
but here's the thing, JC.
Yeah.
That is great. It was a diamond in the rough, won us a national title. Todd's an outstanding coach. We cannot roll the dice on a.
I agree.
Maybe
you're right.
You can't.
This is it, man. This has got to be.
I'm serious. This hire for our lifetime is going to be whether we're going to be relevant again or not.
Oh God, you're funny. Well, listen, QB, it's easy to say right now. What if Miami turns the ball over 6 times and Florida wins? Then how you gonna feel?
I'll be happy we won the game.
Right.
But again, I go back to last year.
What's that going to do?
Nobody will change my mind because I know you have to be fortunate to win football games, but we were extremely fortunate to beat LSU and Ole Miss last year. Go back and watch the tape.
No, LSU had the ball 40 minutes, and Ole Miss turned it over a bunch.
And they were 1 for 5 on 4th downs, and they were still driving to tie the game at the last play.
No, they're still pissed about that game up there. Yeah, I hear you. Well, in terms of the game against Miami on Saturday, because I know you've spent 45 minutes talking about the coach. In this game against Miami, what is Florida? Well, I'll tell you. You already know, but this quarterback's got to get it together. What can he do from 1 week to the next to give us a chance to win? Hand it off?
We're going to have trouble blocking them. We got to complete balls, man.
Yeah.
They're
What
complete.
about that? What about that line of scrimmage Miami has on the offensive side? I saw you with Gino yesterday, Gino Torretta. He was describing just the physical nature of their offensive line.
They're enormous.
It's frightening.
And they're athletic.
And they're athletic. That's even more important.
It'd probably be the best offensive line we'll face all year long.
Wow.
So,
well,
there was something I was getting ready to bring up, JC, and I totally forgot. Lost my train of. Oh, do you have any Peachland Dental picks for us tomorrow? Or are you too busy?
Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll come on if you want me to.
No, we have guests tomorrow. I have Lamar Thomas coming on.
Well, I will say, anyone the Dolphins is playing, bet against the Dolphins.
Are they playing
against
tomorrow?
Miami. They're playing the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Mike McDaniel will be probably the first or second coach to be exercised or terminated, I think, in the NFL.
And you have a friend that wanted to hire him here.
I did. Really?
Big Mike.
Oh, yeah. Big Mike had some funny coffee this morning. God bless him. I love that man. Well, I don't know. What? No, listen. I'm taking Buffalo. There's no way in hell you're going to get me to bet on Tua. I don't care what the spread is. I would take the team total. If the spread is too much for you, take the Buffalo team total. They will score at will. They will score at will. I also like the first half over. I think they come out of the gates fast because they did not do that against the Jets. So my pick would be the Bills team total over, first half over, and maybe even the Bills on the spread. So I think it's a Buffalo sweep. Friday, I'm going to give us some picks at QB in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, this is the big news that you've been waiting to hear, QB. I know this gets you moving. We are going to have a podcast on Thursday mornings at 8:30 right here on this station for 30 minutes discussing sports handicapping and picking games for the following days going forward. I'm going to engage the listeners and the viewers if they want to participate. I'm going to ask them to send me their picture with their pick of the week. It's going to be a show that has, or a 30-minute segment that has some participation in it. Give you a little bit of a break, and I'm going to take it for 30 minutes, and we're going to ride with the Hard Rock and pick some games. That's what we're going to do. That premieres on October the 2nd. Zach and I, the producer, The Rock, I call him The Rock. It's not Dwayne Johnson. The Rock is Zach. Rock. And he and I are going to get it together, and we're going to have this thing pumping for 30 minutes on Thursday, October 2nd, every Thursday after that, and talk sports handicapping and pick some games. That's what we're going to do.
Real quick, Kevin says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Shane is
already got a real
to play this week. I have no idea. Christopher says Miami secondary is not as good as LSU. I don't know about that.
Oh, I think Miami spent a lot of money on their secondary too.
I think Miami's defense is the best we'll play.
They might be the best team you see this year. They might be. They might.
Okay. Meopolitan Cafe, proud to support Gator Nation for 22 years. New location opening in Alachua. New building, same great food served with a smile. Check out one of their 5 locations today. All right, so for the Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. JC says take the Buffalo Bills tomorrow night.
Buffalo first half total, team total, and spread. Absolutely, just do it. Don't fear it. Don't be asleep. Bet them silly, baby. You know the sign that says "Work them silly" on the wall. We're gonna start betting them silly because there's money to be made, man. Last weekend was great. Monday night was great. Had both unders. Love it. Can't wait. October 2nd. We're going to do it on Thursday for 30 minutes every week after that. And I've already got a realtor lined up for sponsorship. We got more openings if you guys want to throw some money at it to make it successful. We're rolling. We're going to roll on October 2nd because the Gators are off after this week. They have an open date. Then the Gators come back for the Texas Longhorns, and we're going to get all excited about that because they're having issues with their quarterback right now. My goodness.
But they're winning games, though.
But they're playing JV teams.
They are.
And they get another JV.
Are we their first SEC game?
We're their first SEC game. And
really?
After that Ohio State game, QB, they've had literally 3 scrimmages. So if
they have to be playing an SEC game this week, right?
They're playing Sam Houston, QB.
Good gracious. Okay.
I think it's Sam Houston.
This text on the Titan Mar text line says, wouldn't be surprised or shocked if we start hearing about John Sumrall. He's a good football coach, but
good coach.
we can't take that chance.
We've already been through there with Billy Napier. Not to jump Summerall's the same coach as Billy Napier, but it's the same situation. You've got a Sun Belt situation type thing going. Or whatever conference they're in. I didn't see that.
Tulane, I don't know what Tulane
That's
conference.
the thing. We don't even know what conference they're in. They have to get a splash hire, and if the money people, as you say, are willing to write the checks and fund all of it, because you're going to have money going out the door and then money coming in the door, you're going to have to just accept the fact that this is going to have to be, as you say, the most pivotal hire in our lifetime.
Yeah, I told you, to be relevant, it better be it, or we'll never be relevant again.
And you have one name on your board, and if that doesn't happen, because that's not a long time.
And if it doesn't happen, it's not that I'm going to be supportive. I'm just saying it's a home run. You know, people talk about, we need a home run hire. This is about as home run as you're going to get.
I think so, too. I think
Maybe
so,
grand,
too.
It ain't a home run. It's grand slam.
He went to the Nick Saban School of Rehabilitation, just like Butch Jones, just like Steve Sarkisian and many others. And he would get me very happy. And I would probably get a lot more optimistic about things. The misery index is blowing through the top right now here in Gator Nation. The misery index, dude.
Real quick before we get out of here.
Consumer sentiment is down. Consumer sentiment.
Real quick, this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. We're proud member Steve Spurrier Banks. 1967, the New Orleans Saints' first NFL game. They lost to the Rams, 27-13. I wasn't born yet.
The Saints played good last week. Almost had the Niners. They'll win a few games, but it's a rebuild there. Their cap situation is a disaster. So
Dan says QB is leaving us on third. No, I'm not leaving y'all. I will do my segment with the Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beard. And then JC will take over and give you lots of winners. Hopefully.
Well, and I'm gonna ask for viewer participation. I want your thoughts.
JC, you need to be like me. I remember when I was a kid and we used to drive. We're driving to Oxford, Mississippi after the Friday night football games my dad coached.
Yeah.
And I'm laying in the back seat and we'd be listening to Leonard's Losers.
Oh, Leonard Post Toasty. Leonard's Post Toasty. That was
the greatest show ever.
And listening to AM radio. Steve Russell would get on for the pregame show, and the 7-5 fight, 7-win Florida Gators would come out. And I got so excited to go to the Florida Fields, what they used to call it. And I tell you, the radio back then, we had the Pick of Dixie game of the week, and you'd listen to Bruce Threadgill and the Mississippi State Bulldogs face the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and Pepper Rogers, the coach. It was great. But hey, QB, we need great memories here to be created for the younger folks in Gainesville. And it means winning football games. So I hope they find the right guy.
Yep, we'll see.
All right, man.
Christopher says, start Mizell, Vernell Brown, EW3 this Saturday night. Speed, more speed.
Mizell's got to play more.
The key is you got to throw completions, Christopher. You can have all the speed you want. You got to complete balls.
Got to get them to football. That's right.
Bore me to death throwing completions. Real quick before we get out of here, when Kerwin, Danny, and I used to do our BMW Bell Matthews Werfel Passing Academy, and we'd have these kids from all over the state, the country come, and I talked to them. I was like, look, the most important thing about playing quarterback is throw completions. If you can't throw completions, find another freaking position.
100%. 1,000%. That's the job, QB. That's the job. You got to have a guy that can hit windows, man. Accuracy. You talk about it nonstop. That's
accuracy and anticipation.
Yep. I hope they find it. And maybe we'll surprise some folks this week, but I'm not getting suckered into those 7 points. Forget it. No way. I'm not doing
JC, have a good day.
You too, man. See you Friday.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Highline Curtis.